what's going on? My name is Ruslan, hip-hop artist, creative entrepreneur, and I'm going live tonight, day one of Veda, sharing my thoughts on the Nipsey Hussle situation, what he meant to the independent rap community, a bunch of other stuff, and how I think his legacy can and will impact thousands of artists to come. Yo, thank you guys so much for tuning in. So my name is Ruslan. I'm a hip-hop artist, creative, entrepreneur. Most of you guys are familiar with the channel. If you're not, welcome. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me. First time on this Veda experience. If you don't know what Veda is, it's kind of a discipline I try to do every April and every August, where I vlog every day in April, vlog every day in August. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean like a lifestyle vlog where I'm out and doing stuff. It might mean just a lot of kind of videos like this, live streams, but getting me back into the discipline of creating more videos for YouTube, catering more towards our Patreon community, which usually is just our Fan Love Fridays, where we check out your music, give you feedback. Me, my man Zoe, sometimes John Keith comes through, sometimes T-Ross the Giant, Zach Sparazzo, we just have Where's Lou go on. And we're going to be doing more stuff like that and just kind of catering towards our creative community on Patreon. So shout out to all the patrons who support this channel. We appreciate you guys. I am currently live on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube watching this live, I appreciate you. Give this video a thumbs up. Leave a comment. Let me know where you're watching this from. I'll kind of try to peek in the chat a little bit as I go. But I wanted to just take a moment, man. It's a very somber time in hip-hop right now. I think we lost a great young talent that wasn't just an artist. I think what Nipsey Hussle represented to a lot of us who were independent artists, who were trying to get it from the mud, who have been at this thing for a while, he represented hope. He represented grind. He represented that you know, underdog mentality that so many of us connect to in a real way. And, you know, outside of that, I think you have someone that's missing a father, someone that's lost a husband, and the entire situation is extremely tragic. It's heartbreaking. It's just beyond words and what words could even express. Whether you were a fan of his music or not, whether you're just now, maybe even just now discovering him or not, I've been following Nipsey's career pretty closely since, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, where, you know, he first kind of emerged on the scene. You kind of started hearing his name bubble, but it really kind of popped off for me when I started hearing about the $100 album he did. And he sold 1,000 $100 albums. And I was like, man, that is so genius. Like, why couldn't have I thought of that? You know what I mean? That he did $1,000 album. And I remember him putting up his TuneCore statements. And he had like $1 million in his TuneCore. I think it was either for the month or for the year. I don't really remember. And he said, you know, I'm not trying to stunt. This is just for inspirational purposes. And the way they built that thing up in terms of their grind, putting out their music, to then waiting to sign towards to a major deal. This, you know, he ended up signing to Atlantic. I was working with a company named RBC at the time, who was helping me with distribution for Indie Jones 1, Indie Jones 2. They kind of were working with Nipsey a little bit. I don't think he did any records with them, but they were giving us the inside scoop of like, yeah, he signed to Atlantic. We were trying to get him here, but Atlantic gave him like something outlandish, like an outlandish split, an outlandish amount of money, just really rolled out the red carpet for him. And he didn't really give the details of the deal in the interviews that he was doing kind of for the promo of his album, Victory Lap, but he definitely said that it was a good deal. You know what I mean? And guys like him, guys like Russ, who really went out, built the infrastructure themselves, built the grind themselves, hustled, understood how to build a cult following, and in a way laid out a blueprint for a lot of other fellow creatives. You know, again, guys like Chance, Macklemore, a lot of guys did it the right way. And they eventually ended up partnering with major labels like Nipsey did with Atlantic. And I don't have no gripes with any major label. I'm very pro indie. But I think what he did was incredible. And then to take that and not just say, oh, I'm rich. He actually took that, and instead of just starting a record label and signing other rappers, he took that and he bought businesses. He bought the strip mall that he used to hustle out of in his hood off of Crenshaw and Slauson. And he bought, built a clothing line store. I think they were building, or they did build a fish market, a healthy like seafood spot. They were building a creative space that my dude Belief just spoke at, where they were trying to create like an incubator for creatives and using tech and leveraging tech. And that is so inspiring to see someone go take the money from the music, put it back in the hood. And so I think he meant so much more than just his music. And his Victory Lap album was dope. Like, I was listening to parts of it today. He has a crazy joint off of Wale's album. Like, his stuff was dope. And I remember kind of it all culminated where if you search right now on YouTube, Gary V, Nipsey Hussle, there's a vlog. It's a 25-minute vlog, and it's Gary V hanging out with Nipsey Hussle for the first couple minutes, and then at the end, it's Gary V hanging out with A$AP Ferg. About a year and a half ago, and one of my songs, Clock In, actually got featured in that vlog. And I remember thinking, man, that's really cool to see Gary interacting with these, these artists, these indie artists that Nipsey Hussle really symbolized that. And my record is in there. You know what I'm saying? I was going to take a clip and chop it up, but you guys could do your own searches and all that kind of stuff. And so, man, I feel really sad. Like, I feel like hip hop lost somebody today. You know what I'm saying? I felt like we all lost somebody, and it was super, super terrible. The other people that were involved that were shot is super tragic. The entire situation is just tragic. And even, not to throw shade or whatever, because I understand, but even the conspiracies coming out of this, you know what I mean? I don't know all the answers. I don't know what happened. It seems like the stuff is coming out in terms of, there was somebody that was in the shop and Nipsey kind of embarrassed them, and then the dude left and came back and, took it too far. I don't know what the details are, but I understand that when we are at a loss, when someone is taken too soon, when something so unbelievable happens, like someone who did so much good for their community, that gave so much back, when someone like that is senselessly taken and two other people are shot and then, in the hospital, and there's a manhunt and people just want answers, we tend to default to that, like, conspiracy type thing. We get very skeptical of the facts and all this kind of stuff. And I'm not mad at that. I understand people process grief differently, but I want us to remember what he stood for as an entrepreneur, as a creative, as a boss, as a hustler, that it wasn't just about raps and music, and that wasn't the apex of what he was trying to do. And I think some of us, we get into this music thing, and that's all we want. Like, we just want to make music, we want to make money, we want to be famous. And I think his purpose was so much deeper than that. The impact he had was so much deeper than that. I'm not saying he was an angel. I'm not saying he had it all figured out. None of us are or do. But what he represented was something beyond just an average rapper, especially from where he came from, especially from that part of South Central Los Angeles. Being a bit closer to, I'm in San Diego, LA is just an hour and a half, 2 hours away. That connection is different, and he was just down here a couple of days ago. He did a club appearance, and so it's just a very, very, very tragic situation, man. So, yeah, I'm at a loss for words. I'm kind of keeping, an eye on the comment section. I'd love to hear what you guys think. I don't know how many of you guys were fans of Nipsey's music. Again, I think for me, I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of his music, but I was a big fan of him and what he represented. And I remember watching interviews and just soaking up the game he was given in terms of just like ownership, owning your masters, owning your publishing, and leveraging. And a lot of times we do it, and we do it from the mud. Like, we do it because we go indie because a lot of times we don't really have no other options. Like 10, 15 years ago, when guys like me and guys like Nipsey and guys like, whether it was Macklemore or whoever, like, we had no other options. And now what you're seeing is, with the rise of all these independent artists, is there's an alternative to the framework. There's an alternative to what can be done when you are wise, when you're a good steward, when you're shrewd with how you do business. And I think one of the burdens I feel, and I'm looking at the comments section, we put out music. Obviously, King's Dream Entertainment is a label, it's an entertainment company. Myself, John Keith, Paul Russell, all solo artists, and we put out a lot of music. And Paul Russell just put out an album called Once in a Dry Season. Thank you guys so much for running those numbers up. It did 100,000 streams. Crazy, crazy, crazy. 100,000 streams in like 2 or 3 days, which is amazing for us. You guys consistently support. That's just Spotify, by the way. We don't even have the Apple Music numbers. I say all that to say that what I hope that this channel would be, what I hope our Patreon community would be, is that I've been full-time with music for 4 years. Really kind of on the backs of inspired by guys like Macklemore, guys like Nipsey Hussle, guys like Chance the Rapper. I've been full-time with music for 4 years. This July will be 4 years. I quit my job at my church. That was the last job I worked. And every year for the last 4 years, I've grossed over $100,000. That's not a flex. That's not a stunt. And that's not even to say I'm bringing home $100,000, because I'm not. That's not what's going into my bank account. Me and my wife are debt-free. We live on less than we make. We live a very simple lifestyle. But at the end of the day, I get to do music, and I don't ever feel pressured to pursue and be thirsty for a deal, for any of my artists to get a deal. I'm content, and my heart and my goal is to see as many other artists, as many other independent artists, especially if you come from that faith space, to get as many people as I can, whatever resources I can in terms of the information, to see a bunch of six-figure businesses built off of music. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's what I'm going to be trying to focus on, is how can we build as many six figures independently off of music. And that took me a long time, just so you know. Like, that didn't happen overnight. That took a decade, over a decade plus. But by the grace of God, we've been able to sustain it. And it looks like, my goal for this year is double. We're going to do double than we did last year, and it's only going to get bigger. But I want to be a practitioner doing it, putting out music, my own music, Paul Russell, John Keith, doing shows. But I also want to be an inspiration and a voice of hope, like Nipsey was, to help other people and give other people the game to build their own businesses. You know what I mean? And so I'm going to be, I don't know how that's going to look, but just giving you guys practical game of maybe how to flip merch and how to book your own shows and how to really build this thing up. You know what I mean? And so check out the stuff we got coming out if you're not familiar. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. The Paul Russell album is out, Once in a Dry Season, available everywhere. John Keith, Honey Blonde, available everywhere. Both records I'm very proud of. Both records I mixed and mastered. Both records I produced on. And very, very just special things to me. And so you guys check that stuff out. I don't want to make this a big promotional thing. First time, I'm just looking at some of your guys' comments. First time I ever heard of Nipsey Hussle was in 2000 when I found out that he's co-produced by Jalil Bills. Yeah, he had a great year for beats. He's just consistent. He's just a consistent grinder. He's not the typical overnight story. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, man. Hopefully, you guys are looking at this situation, and as many of us, again, who are grieving the situation, as many of us are sad and saddened by what happened, that we would also look at the legacy that he left behind, and we look at how we can further that legacy, how we can further the legacy of ownership, how we can further the legacy of independence, how we can further the legacy of just grinding it out of the mud. And even if you ain't have the perfect hand, even if you ain't have the best situation, you can build something beyond just the limitations that are set in front of you. I think that's the takeaway for me here. It doesn't matter how or why he died. He's not here any longer. But all of us that are creatives, all of us that are artists, have an opportunity to help his legacy live on. And I would hope that that's what we would do. I would hope that that's what we would do, that we would think creatively, that we would think entrepreneurially, that we would be for our communities and for the people, and that we would be just vessels that can help usher in change and hope to people that need it. And so, man, those are my thoughts. Again, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think. Where are you at? Are you an artist? You're a creative? How could I help you? What kind of information do you need? I want to hear from you guys, man. And I'm going to be doing Veda every day for the month of April while I'm finishing Indy Jones 3, bringing you guys fly content and informative as well as inspirational things to help us ultimately walk God's dream for our life. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. All right.